Roots and Roofs, where we explore the intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship in the real estate world. I am your host, Mackenzie Shelton. Join us as we dive into the unique journey of balancing family life with owning a thriving real estate business. Each episode, we will uncover inspiring stories, practical tips, mindset conversations, and expert insights from others who are carving their paths in the real estate industry. Whether you are a seasoned realtor, a prospective buyer, or simply curious about the dynamics of managing both home and career, Roots and Roofs is your go-to podcast for heartfelt discussions and invaluable advice. Tune in and discover how these incredible women are building deep roots from the ground up while nurturing their families under the same roof. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Roots and Roofs. I have a very personal guest with me today. This is Jack Shelton, my husband, and I'm actually bringing him back on the podcast because it turns out that my most listened to podcast was actually the one that you and I did together. So, Jack, for those that maybe have not listened to our past episode, can you just introduce yourself?
I am Jack Shelton. I'm Mackenzie's husband, the father of our 4 kids, our general partner in crime and everything.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to kind of talk about different stuff than we did last time, and we're going to focus more on kind of marriage and being a husband and things like that, because a lot of the feedback that I got was that they liked that we talked about some of that stuff. So I'm going to get into the questions here. What does it mean to you to be a leader in our marriage? And how do you try to balance leading with also being a partner?
Leadership has to go both ways. You have to lead and you have to follow. Knowing when to step up and step aside. You know, there's things that you're going to lead us better at than I am. And there's plenty of things that I'm going to lead just as good or better than you at, you know. It's just being able to take both sides of it and really find your unity with it, because unity is really what you need to move forward. You know, I can't be in the driver's seat all the time. You drove here today. I just, you know, there's certain things that we do differently, and everyone has to be okay with that. And like your marriage has to be okay with that.
Yeah, agreed. I think what has been interesting as like we have kind of evolved as a couple is we have done a really good job, in my opinion, of early on. I feel like you were leading us more in like our income and in kind of just a lot of like the day-to-day like decisions of things. And I think part of that is because we do have basically a blended family, right? So you and Jaden and Easton were a family unit before I kind of came into the picture. And so it just kind of naturally happened that way. But as like time has progressed, I think that you trust me a lot more. Yes. To like take on some of those things that you were having to shoulder a lot by yourself, you know. So
well, shouldering things I'm not good at, you know. It's just you take the things that I'm not good at and use them, you know, and do them better than I would. Accounting, you know, parent-teacher conferences, like that's just not who, you know. I don't do those things well.
Sure.
And you can understand more, and you take the time to listen to the teachers, and where I'm just like, okay, let's go, let's be done with this. Like it's just a, you know. But yeah, you definitely take giving you kind of the reins on some of that stuff was the best decision I've made, because it really has made my life easier and our lives better.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I don't always have to be the man in charge. I am when I need to be, but it's like, I take a backseat to you, you know, when I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, what I've seen from just if I'm thinking about some of my friends or just people I know in general, I think where a lot of conflict happens is when people can't focus on like what am I actually good at and what do I want to do in this relationship, instead of just trying to take charge of everything, or vice versa, not taking charge of anything, right? So yeah, I can think of a couple of my friends who I've literally had to say to them like, hey, maybe you do everything because you're not focusing on what you're actually good at or what you would be best at, and letting your partner kind of
What's the end goal? What are
Yeah.
you trying to get at? Like, does it make sense for me to do all the, no, to do the booking? No. Do we want to be better? Yeah. So let's have you do it.
Yeah, agreed. I love that. Okay, so next question. When you think about the example you're setting for our kids, what are the top qualities you hope they notice in the way that you love and lead in our marriage?
Just doing the right thing, having the integrity of like doing what needs to be done, like whether I want to or not. How I'm feeling does not matter. I still have the responsibilities I have every day. If I'm tired, if I'm sick, it doesn't really matter. The cows still need fed, the kids still need help out the door, the laundry still needs done. It's about doing things that you have to do every day and just doing them. Like that's part of being a man, being a father, being a husband. It's like you're not going to want to do these things every day, but you have to. That's what you signed up for. You want to be the head of the family and be a good father, you have to set the example.
Yeah, I love that. I think you do such a good job of setting a really good example for our kids. One of my favorite things, obviously I know that you say this, that you say this, but everybody else does not, is before our kids head out the door in the morning, you always say, do your best and be your best. And like, I don't know where you decide. I mean, you've said that for years, like since they were pretty little. But it is just such a thing. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, if that's the last thing that you're hearing before you literally go to school or go, to now we've got kids that have jobs, and things like that. Like that sticks with them for their entire day. So in my opinion, I think that's the thing that you do the best, is like the things that you say to them are going to be way more impactful than.
Well, it's do your best in every situation. You always have choices, and it's like make the right choice. Do the best thing you can do in that situation and be the best person you can. Help the person out. Or if you were walking by the ground and you see trash on the ground, pick it up.
Yeah.
Like do your best in every situation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I tell them that,
Yeah.
You're not going to be in the best situations all the time, but if you can do your best in those situations, that's all you can ask for. Yeah.
And you definitely lead by example with that, because like you literally, you do your best in everything that you do. It's really fun to see that.
I try.
Do you think your approach to teaching our sons about being a good husband is different from what you're modeling for our daughter about what she might look for in a partner?
I don't really know. I'm not even sure what to teach our daughter, to be honest with you. I just want to be the kind of man that she can look for in a husband, somebody who does the right things. Like I want to set a standard for her, as far as what a husband should be and look for. But I tell you, what I do know is what I'm going to teach her will be how to protect herself mentally against people that are mean or have the worst intentions for her, and physically. Like, there's no doubt she'll be able to choke a grown man out by the time she's 12. Like, that is definitely on my priorities.
That's so funny. As somebody who had a really good example from my father as far as like what does a good partner look like, I didn't realize it. Like you and my dad are definitely not the same person, right? But a lot of your like behaviors and things that you're trying to teach your kids and things like that have ended up being very similar. So it's definitely true that like if you have a good dad who is emulating good things, you hopefully are going to find a good partner who has all of those things. So
absolutely.
Yeah. What kind of stuff like do you hope that you teach the boys about being a good husband?
Just the kind of the example I set right now, like be willing to help out. Like we are all in this together. If I help you get out the door quicker, it's going to be better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I help do laundry, it's going to be better for everybody.
Yeah.
It is 100% to your wife and your family. There's no, well, she did this, I'm going to do it. Like, no. Help out where you need to help out. Have your stuff you have to do, and guess what? She'll probably help you out if you need it. Like, it's a team effort, and that's probably the best example I get in loving you. That is the number one thing, really.
Yeah.
And start
Agreed.
treating you with respect.
Yes. Agreed. What's one lesson you learned in marriage that you wish you would have known earlier? And like, obviously you've been married twice, so either one.
Well, just buying in all the way. Not having one foot in, one foot out, like completely trusting you and, you know, what our goals and missions are. And that's the thing, like my first marriage, we didn't have any long-term goals. We didn't understand, like we were just surviving, you know, really at that point. But, you know, it obviously gets easier as you're older. But that's what it is. It's like being all in, trusting you, trusting the process of what we're planning on doing, and being patient, you know. Yeah. Everything comes, you know, whether you want it to or not.
I will say, like, so we got married in 2015. We had been together, you know, a couple years before then. And it was really not until I took that bold class and like started because I didn't really set a lot of goals for myself either prior to that. Again, some of that comes with like age and wisdom and all of those things. But the goals that I was setting for myself weren't like anything spectacular, right? Like it was like, I just want to have a good job and, you know, get married and, you know, some of those basic things, buy a house, like that was a goal, you know. But then from there, it was like once I took that class and actually started being like, oh, I could like set some like real long-term goals for myself and even smaller ones, you know, kind of in between there and all the things that they kind of teach you. It was just from my like perspective, like it was really neat to like, I started doing some of that and it could have gone a very different way where like you would not have gotten on board with that. You would have been like, this is,
a little bit
oh yeah.
Things, you know?
Honestly, like it took you about like 3 years, right? Because in 2018 was when we finally like, so we got married in 2015. 2018 was when we finally like combined our bank accounts and well, 2017. But yeah, like a lot of that was kind of this like forward momentum. And
well, it's just again buying in all the way, trusting you 100%. It took me, you know, a couple of years. It was jaded, you know. That's what I mean. It took me a couple of years. I was not a trusting person, and again, buying in all the way is what got us where we are.
Yeah, agreed. Yep, I love that. How do you think a husband should lead in times of conflict or disagreement without being controlling or dismissive?
Well, again, it's kind of a team effort, and a husband, men just are more logical in stressful situations a lot of the time. At least in our marriage, it is. But you need to have the emotional end of it. Sometimes it's hearing what your wife has to say emotionally. How's this going to affect somebody? How's it going to hurt somebody? But having the logic to resolve the situation or the conflict. Like, hey, I understand that this time is going to be different, but it's not going to be like this every time. So let's just let it happen. Let's see what happens, and then we can make our judgment from there. See what if we wanted to do something different next time.
Yeah.
You know, it's you really gotta have both. You know, you really got to see the big picture sometimes, and is it a big deal or is it not a big deal?
Yeah.
You know, is it one night? Is it homecoming week, or is it whatever? You know, you really got to give and take a little bit from each way.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that I think you are really good at, or I should say you have gotten tremendously better at, is helping me kind of like come back to center, right?
Come back to reality.
No, so that's the thing. Like we were just having a conversation in the car this morning, right? And we were talking about things that you're like, I don't know why you're worrying about this right now. Like this could or could not happen. It could, you know, like maybe it doesn't happen in 5 years, you know, that sort of thing. But because that's the way women's brains work, all of our brains work that way. Like it is sometimes good to have like that perspective, but also then to have somebody say, is this really something that you need to worry about right now? Right. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that. Cause I don't always like, I don't know. My mom would say I borrow trouble. So,
well, if you can't control the outcome, why are you worrying about it? Like,
sure.
You know, something could happen tomorrow. Something could happen next hour.
Mm-hmm.
You can't worry about everything. And it's like, I worry about what I can control.
Yeah.
What effect can you have on the situation?
Yeah, I agree. If you could give one piece of advice to your brothers or your sons, or any young man for that matter, about preparing to be a good husband, what would it be?
Make yourself useful. I mean, it really is. It's, a man unfortunately has no value unless he is useful. Like, can I take out the trash? Can I hang things up? Can I provide? Can I protect? Like, a woman can bear children, they're useful. A man has to be useful. Like, that's kind of the biggest thing I have. And as a man, your integrity and your integrity and loyalty are really the biggest thing. Like, can you do the right thing? Will you do the right thing? And are you going to treat the people that you're loyal to with respect and just show up for them? That's really the biggest thing.
So it's very interesting that your perspective is like, basically you need to be able to like do the things,
yes.
right? I feel like where I see marriages fail at our age is because the husband isn't doing anything, or that's the wife's perspective, right? Whether that's right or wrong, it is a lot of times it's because that person is not helping, or they don't feel like they're being supported.
You can go back to a lot of that too. Did the wife put him in the spot to where you don't do good enough, so I don't want your help. So it's like, well, I'm not going to help then.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and do whatever I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's got to go both ways. Like, a man just can't be useful, and then you're telling him he's not useful, then he's just going to step back and he's not going to do things.
Well, and that puts a perspective on the fact that that's how men see their value, mm-hmm. right? It is, can I be useful? Can I be helpful? Right? I'm going to be honest. Like, there's things that you help with that, do you maybe do it exactly how I would like to have it done? No, but it's also getting done. Mm-hmm. So some of this is like women, then criticizing the person that puts all of their worth in being useful, and you're then criticizing what they're trying to help with, right?
Nobody sees anything the same. Like, your mode of clean is a lot different than mine, and that's just what it is. Like, you can appreciate the fact that I clean the house to my ability, not to your ability, not the way you want it, but clean enough for me, and that's worth something. It really is.
It is.
Because would you rather have toys on the ground and, dishes in the sink? Like, maybe they're not dried or put away or whatever. You got to be happy with the help that you get.
Yeah. No, I agree. I know early on, like when we moved in together, that was probably the hardest thing for me to adjust, was I obviously had been living by myself, but also I do have a very naturally high standard for like how I want my house to look and all these things. And I know I've told multiple friends of mine, like, you got to kind of relax like your standards, not because like that standard
kids,
shouldn't exist.
You have kids and you have a life. Like, your house is not going to be magazine ready all the time.
No. I'm actually reading a book right now or listening to it, on Audible, and it's called I Tried Until I Almost Died. Okay. And it's the entire, I haven't gotten that far into the book, but basically the entire book is about how this lady clearly had OCD and some control issues and things like that. But she literally like had so many rules and regulations around her family and how she thought that like mentally she needed to look in life, that she literally made herself physically sick from that experience. And so it was kind of this like come to Jesus moment where she had to look at like all these imaginary rules that she not only had created for herself, but for her family that was making everyone miserable. Right. And I don't want to say that anybody was like miserable early on, but like I had to take a step back and realize that like our house does not need to look perfect all the time. Our kids, like, yes, we can have standards for them as far as like you need to pick up your stuff in your room and whatnot. But like even that, like I've had to kind of like chill out on some of that, because at the end of the day, like, does that really matter?
No,
Like,
and it takes away from the freedom of just being able to live, but at the same time, if you have the discipline, you can do this, but your room has to be clean and your books have to be read.
Yeah.
Now you have the freedom to do with that things. Not you're just going to sit here and clean like, it just goes, again, it goes both ways.
Yeah. Agreed. Yep. Okay. How do you see servant leadership playing a role in marriage, and how do you try to live that at home?
I mean, I personally, I love to serve. I really do. I love to. I don't make dinner or nothing, but I love to help you out with things. I love to build things. I love to just generally be helpful, be useful. Whether it's to my kids or it's to you or anybody in my family, and showing that you can serve is a big eye opener for a lot of people, for a lot of kids. Like, oh, well, Dad's willing to do that or whatever. But at the same time, you can serve too much. Where now your 8-year-old's asking you every time, can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like, no, you need to do it yourself. Like, I'm not going to do everything for you. I will help you when you need help.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not here to serve you, but I do love to serve. It's both. It's not too much is too much, and not enough is probably not good enough.
Yeah. Can we talk about how you are maybe a recovering people pleaser?
Yeah, sure.
So I think a lot of our maybe disagreements over the years have been around, especially like with buying rental properties and flipping houses and things like that. A lot of the time that we have some sort of conflict is around you wanting to meet a deadline that maybe you originally agreed to, but then it turns into like, well, that was actually my deadline, not your deadline, or just the natural, like, you always tell me, like, I just really, like, I want to say yes to you, but sometimes the answer should be no.
Yes. I mean, that's absolutely, it's, I was trying to be just the nice guy all the time, and the nice guy is not always the good man, just because I want to be nice. Yes, dear, that would be great. That'd be nice. But in reality, no, that's not going to happen. And that's not good. Like, it's not good to try to be like, yes, that's be the nice. Like, it's not helping.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is going to take this long. Like, sorry, we can move on or we can do something else. But if you want this needs to happen. And it's going to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just naturally, like, it was never a situation where I guess intentionally, like, I wasn't intentionally, like, trying to take advantage of, like, the situation or anything like that. But it was just you, I don't know, trying to, like, make me happy with.
And you talking me into it. So let's be honest here. Well, why can't you do it that fast? Well, why? It's like, I don't articulate myself well. So I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll just do it. I'll figure it out. I'll work 20 hours a day and be done.
Yes. We have come to the conclusion over the last 5 years that I don't always understand how long a construction project is going to take. And at the same time, like, we do have to set, deadlines
Realistic
and goals.
goals.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. How do your faith or values guide the way you lead as a husband and even as, like, a mentor to your brothers?
Again, just goes back to doing the right thing, having integrity, like doing, again, personally for me, like, I don't like to be drunk in front of my kids. Like, I can have a few beers here and there, but, like, I don't want them to lose how they see me. You know what I mean? So I always want to kind of set the standard. And if that's me not drinking or doing whatever, like, that's what it is, just to really be, it's and then being loyal, being, like, loyal to my grandma whose tree falls down and I go cut it up, or giving grandma chicken, or go and help mom out, do something here and there, like, show and that I am loyal, that I do have integrity, that I will make the right choices, even if I don't want to. I mean, that's part of being, I don't know, that's kind of how I live my life. Like, I don't want to do anything that would, or I want to always do the right thing. do the best thing that I can in the situation, because that's what I want my kids to see and my brothers to see. Like, yeah, I might not be great at it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to try my best. Like, I'm going to get after it. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to be strong, and sometimes I'm just going to go for it. Like, it's just what it is.
So, how do you feel like this shows up? Because your brothers are quite a bit younger than you. There's only 7 years between Leland and Jaden,
Yeah.
So like, how do you feel like there's any difference in like how you show up for your brothers versus how you show up for our sons?
A little bit. I definitely have more of obviously a parent to my sons,
right.
With my brothers, we are more like brothers, but how I live it's who I am. Like, I'm not, acting different I would around my brothers than my kids. I have that standard all the time, and I have that integrity, and I want to show them that, and I want to show my sons that. And it's like, I'm not a different person here or there. It's like I have, one thing that I do, and that I'm trying to set the example every time I'm doing something, whether it's, repairing something, giving advice, or being on a podcast.
Yep. Do you think men learn more from what they're told about marriage or from what they observe?
Definitely what they observe. The best, my idea, my grandparents were, I used to see how my grandpa loved my grandma, and they still have a great marriage, and it was beautiful for me to see that and want to emulate, like, and even at Timmy's wedding, I told him, Mandy, it's like, you don't get to be like grandma and grandpa without going all the way in. Like, you don't get to have that kind of love. You don't get to have that love by being selfish. You don't get to build this kind of family that way. It starts with you and your wife. That's.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said that to them.
Oh, yeah, sure. It really is. And even my grandpa was like, what kind of man do I want to be? I'd never seen him. Maybe once he yelled at me. I know my mom and my uncles and aunts tell a different story about when he was younger. But since I've been a kid, he has never raised his voice to my grandma, other than, a handful of times. Just like always having that emotional control of being, whether he can't hear it or not, it might be a different story where he's just smiling, nodding. But at the same time, he's just a very strong, emotionally guy, and it just shows you, men and women are that different. My grandmother is highly loving and highly, and she's, they're just different people. And that's who I try to emulate, and that's where I want my life to go. I want to be just like them in my own way.
Yeah. Yeah. They really are. We are both very lucky that.
And your grandparents too.
Yes.
Your grandparents are awesome too.
Yeah. So it is really neat that both of us still have grandparents that are alive, first of all. And second of all, grandparents that have been together for, 60 plus years at this point.
Look at both of their families, the examples they set. It's like, how can you not want to be like that?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I mean, if you look at your mom's family and my mom's family, like, everybody is very close and spends, as much time as they can. My family's kind of all over the place, but like as much time as they can together. Your family's together like every weekend.
Yes.
But we both are very lucky that we have good examples for what that should look like.
Both of those, they're just all great people. Like, we all have our flaws. We've all done bad things, but like in the center of it, like, they're all good, caring, great people. Yeah. And it's like, you don't get that without that example.
Yeah. Agreed. I love that. When you think about our kids growing up or your brothers getting older, what do you want them to say about how you modeled being a good husband? What kind of like legacy do you want to leave?
Again, just doing the right thing. I want to set the example for what I think a man should be. Not everyone else's opinion is going to be different, but I think a man should be doing all the things essentially that I try to do. Being a good husband, a good father, coach. Give yourself. Serve. Really serve your family. Obviously I have my own goals and own things I like to do. But it really is a family to grow like that is serving, just like my grandpa. Like, he never had really anything, but he gave everything to his kids and, to build us up, and it's like he liked to woodwork and I like to build stuff. Like it's little things that you get for yourself. But again, the bigger picture is the family you're creating, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mostly wanted to come and like ask you these questions and have this conversation because I feel lucky every single day that I ended up with you as my husband. And if you think back to it, some people listening will understand like all of our history and things like that. It is pretty wild that we ended up together, right?
Sure.
And even more wild that we basically both took a chance kind of on each other, and then have grown together to like end up where we are now, you know? Like, could you have imagined 10 years ago that we would be where we are? No. Yeah.
I mean, a little bit, sure, but not where we are now, for sure. Yeah. I knew you were going to be awesome. I just had to get myself there.
Oh, well, thank you. I thank you very much for coming on and just kind of talking about this with me. I really hope that people can kind of take to heart, like, all of the things that you kind of said about being a good husband, because it really is true that you're out there emulating all of those things, not just speaking it, you're actually doing all of the things. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Love you too.
That was good. I want to ask a question though. Yeah. We could probably splice it in later, but I wanted to know, and I'm just talking into the mic, that's why it is I'm not facing you guys. Yeah. But what have you guys done, like, for future planning? Because I know you all are in real estate. Well, you're in real estate, but like with respect to planning for your children's financial future, like what have you guys, you know, kind of come together to? And this is a selfish question because me and my wife are thinking about it right now. Yeah. So it's like, question. What are you guys coming together to kind of decide on?
I really am. I'll give you the tools to get there, but I'm not gonna, pave the way. So I'll give you the tools to get there, but I'm not going to pave the way for you. You're going to have to make your own path. I'll give you, the machete to cut through the weeds and stuff, but you have to take it. Like, my legacy is with the family I create. It's not what money I'm leaving behind or what I'm going to give them. I could honestly care less about that. Like, I do want my kids to be set. Like, I don't want them to struggle or anything, but as far as leaving them any money or they're on their own. Like, I'll give you the tools. You got to cut your path.
So to be more specific about that, we are not paying for our kids to go to college. If they choose to go to college, that's on them.
They have room and board.
Yes, correct. They can have a place to live. We did buy each of our teenagers a vehicle, but I like to call it a character builder. They are rusted out old trucks that we did not have spent a lot of money on. And currently right now we are still helping them pay for some of like their car insurance and things like that. But when they're an adult, those things are on them. Jack and I both grew up Jack was pretty much on his own at 17, paying for anything and everything that he needed on his own. My parents were, in a spot where they did help me through college and things like that. But to be honest, like from my perspective, while I'm very grateful for that, they basically kind of wasted their money on me. And so I don't want to kind of like repeat the past where maybe my kids feel a little entitled to some of those things. And so we've just established that pretty much when you're 18, you can still live at home, but you're pretty much on your own outside of that. We will probably, because of our real estate background, like we will probably help them buy, their first home and things like that. And, maybe give them some of the money.
Give them the tools. Like,
yes,
here's the tool that we use to finance things.
Yep.
Take it and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, what I want for my kids more than anything is I want them to be resilient. and I want them to basically be able to go out into the world and be a good person and a good citizen by contributing to society, and me enabling them or providing things kind of beyond what we deem necessary is just, we don't need to do that. So
cool. I like that topic because it's a serious dynamic, because on one side you have people who are like, well, I came from nothing and I don't want my children to come from nothing, so I want them to have at least something to stand on when they reach of age. And then you have on the other side, it's like, I don't want them to waste a trust fund because I don't want them to like, I want to make sure that I want to help them, but I don't want them to waste the money that I give them. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like,
and again, I having a daughter now, it makes you think a little bit differently. But as far as boys, like, again, throw them into the fire. They're gonna have to sink or swim, And I know that the way I've raised them, that they'll swim out of there. Like, you're gonna have troubles, you're gonna have issues. If you have a good head on your shoulder, have the integrity to do the right thing, like, you'll get out. You'll figure it out one way or the other, and that's how you build character. It's, if you give them everything, they're gonna be miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coming from the background that I did, where basically everybody that I knew got a brand new car and their parents were still paying for things when they were 30 years old and all of this stuff, like, that didn't benefit any of them. It all it did was delay them being an adult. Like, that's kind of the way that I've always looked at it. So we are doing things very, very different than I think most of the people that we know. And maybe we'll turn out to be wrong, but and maybe our kids will have a different perspective. But you want to know what? We were in the high school parking lot literally last night because I had to drop Jaden back off at his truck. And there was a brand new, or I want to assume pretty brand new Bronco in the school parking lot. And I was like, is that a high schooler's vehicle? And the boys were like, oh, yeah. Isn't that just ridiculous that this person has like and it's like, that's great for them, right? But I like that our kids have the perspective that that's not necessary.
No, and you get the real world perspective. Your truck breaks down, you got to fix it. If you want to save money on oil changes, do it yourself. Like,
yeah.
And not everything has to be pretty and perfect. You're going to have issues with cars some days. Better to learn that at 16 than to learn it at 35,
I still don't know how to change a tire. So, yeah.
Right. My boys, when they leave, will be able to change tires, lease oil change. I don't even do a whole lot of mechanics, but if there's a part that needs fixed, I can fix it, or I can help you. I can't diagnose an engine, but I can say, hey, the starter's bad. Let's replace the starter. It's pretty simple. Like, watch YouTube, figure it out. Give yourself life skills. Not just take it in. There are those times, sure. Like, yeah. I don't know, guys. Jay, do you want to spend the money on it or not? Like, do you want to fix it? Is it worth it to you? So it is one of those things.
Yep. Agree.
Nice. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to Roots and Roofs podcast today. If you loved today's episode, please let me know. I love hearing from you on Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to send me a DM or tag me in your stories so I can share it too. If you're looking for more information about today's topic, please visit my website, mahoganyacres.com, and all of the information that is listed in the show notes below. Until next time.